So Pixar is a big thing for you, right? So I guess this episode's going to be pretty Pixar heavy.
Well, what else would it be about?
No, but like it's not going to be Toy Story heavy, is what I'm saying. It's going to be Pixar heavy.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, we can go anywhere Pixar.
I want to know if
Yeah,
this.
no, I was thinking we could talk about rankings, where people are ranking the movie,
Interesting.
because that's always a big thing.
Yeah. We could do that. I don't mind.
All right.
What's up, motherfuckers?
What's up, guys? We're here live in Prospect Park.
Best way to start a kids episode is "What's up, motherfuckers?" Welcome to the Toy Story discussion. We don't shut up, person that's on the show. Also, if you don't know this already, we stopped calling them reviews because people start expecting a lot more from you when you call it a review. So we started calling them discussions. So welcome to the Toy Story 4 discussion. We have a very, I don't want to call him a special guest. He's just a guy that we picked off the street. I'm just kidding. He's a good friend of ours. Mr. Matthew Conklin. What's up, dude? The Pixar aficionado.
Good morrow, FNI fanatics. It is your boy Matty Conklin. And I am the Pixar expert. I've said this many times on your show before. The only realm of film where I can match up with you guys in terms of knowledge and fandom is in Pixar. I'm picky with food. I'm picky with my alcohol, and I'm very picky with movies too. I don't even like Disney movies in general, but I love Pixar movies.
That's crazy. The fact that you love the thing that the same studio produces, but you don't like their other stuff. It's kind of interesting.
I'm weird like that.
Yeah. No, you are, and we can't talk about the other weird stuff because we'll get arrested. But you were here on our as we all know, for those we've talked about it a few times on this podcast, the fact that the lost Finding Dory episode that never was. You were on that, and then
I'm still waiting for that release date.
Me too, but it's all static, so it doesn't matter. And then you were also, of course, if you want our Incredibles episode, people tend to gravitate towards that sometimes. Every now and then, I'll see a new download, and it's from something back then, a year ago.
Yep,
and it's that.
That's me, same guy.
Yeah, same guy, not as knowledgeable as you would think. He claims he knows Pixar, but he doesn't. No. He clearly does. He knows more than like anyone should know, which is kind of disgusting.
If you could see my personal recording studio, i.e. my bedroom where I'm recording right now.
Correct.
If you could see all the merchandise around me, you'd know that I'm the expert. Either that or I'm just bad with my money. Oh, remember, Peter and I, we graduated college together.
Correct.
You know how it's a big fad to decorate your graduation caps. I decorated mine with Lightning McQueen.
Yeah, you did. And if anything, if we can get a picture of that, we might even share it on our Instagram. We might do that. And I also did mine with Star Wars because, as you all know, I'm a big Star Wars geek. So basically, as bad and as crazy I am about Star Wars, that's what Matt is with Cars, which Absolutely. I don't understand.
Cars is at the top of the list. A franchise that gets no love because there's 2 sequels, one catastrophic, one mediocre, but I firmly believe the first Cars is up there with the Pixar greats.
I think we'll get to that later. I think we'll talk about...
Oh, we'll get to that. If you're having a discussion with me, it could be about anything, but eventually we'll reach Cars at some point.
So I want to talk about, being that Toy Story 4 the episode is about, Mr. I
just want to talk about Cars.
I just want to talk about fucking life as a highway. So, Toy Story 4, I'm going to be honest. I did not expect there to be a 4th movie. I thought the 3rd one ends as perfect as it could be. Andy gives his toys to someone that we never had heard of before. Little girl, she gets the toys. End of it. End of the trilogy. That's it. That there's no way you could tell a story after that. But of course, it made a ton of fucking money. So, and it's a beloved franchise. So of course, Disney was like, yeah, no doubt we're gonna make a fourth one. I just didn't know where they were gonna go with it. I didn't know what type of story they were gonna tell. I didn't expect this story, but then I can't say I'm surprised at the same time.
Absolutely, and a lot of the Pixar pundits, if you will, were saying that the original Toy Story 3 was the perfect trilogy, and the three-act structure of it was even better than, give or take, a Star Wars trilogy. I don't know if you would agree with that, but as far as how satisfying it was, that is what a lot of people were saying, and I think going back to Cars once again, Pixar maybe thought, okay, Cars is largely our merchandise cow, whereas Toy Story is our cinematic poster boy. That's how the first Toy Story title is how everyone in that building has a job today. And I guess they figured to do it justice, they gave it a fourth movie. But I really really thought it wasn't necessary. But
Yeah.
that's the reality, right? Was our episodes after episode 6 of Star Wars necessary? Were they, or was it for merchandise? I
Exactly.
think you could ask that question about any franchise.
Yeah, I think you're right. And also, when it comes to trilogies, I'm with you. Uh, Toy Story trilogy, one of the greatest trilogies of all time. Captain America trilogy, the Dark Knight trilogy, like you can go on and on. Of course, the original Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. But you have to put Toy Story's trilogy up at the pretty close to the top, or at least in the top 5, at least for me. Yeah, it goes down as some of the one of the greatest trilogies of all time. Yeah, I don't think there needed to be a fourth story, but the story that they told was just good enough for me to bring all that back, all that good nostalgia feeling back, and that's really what it's all about. Like they probably knew deep in their hearts, like we don't need to do this, but fans are gonna love it, so who gives a shit? People
Exactly.
are gonna buy into it.
I mean, we showed up to an opening night amongst a packed theater, a sold-out theater, so they
Yeah.
knew what they were doing.
Yeah, clearly. And my other thing, I think this is right. I think you're not lying about this. Cars is the biggest toy selling franchise for Pixar, right?
Oh, by far, yeah. Merchandise numbers are off the charts for Cars franchise, largely because of the toys. It
Yeah.
sells more toys than a movie about toys. Ironic?
Yeah, that always fascinated me.
I mean, yeah, like I just mentioned this again, but among my merchandise I'm sitting in front of, I have an entire wall of Cars diecasts. Um,
That I
you're
helped.
gonna
I
hear
helped.
Cars
Yeah,
mentioned a lot more. Uh,
I helped feed into that because I bought you.
like a flat earther. I'm annoying with my praise for Cars.
But the inevitability that Cars could be a reality is true. I don't believe you can't believe in flat earthers. But anyway, um, but I even bought you a waffle fucking maker.
Oh yeah,
That
I have it. I have it
Cars
here,
waffle maker
right in front of me. Actually, it makes a great piece.
it doesn't make a mean waffle, but it makes.
I haven't used it yet, but I
This,
like looking at it though. I really
this
do.
fucking guy. So I mean, I think I've mentioned this a few times on the show. Uh, I was born in '95. You were born in '95, and that
Yes,
is
sir.
the year that Toy Story came out. And the reason I bring that up is because though it may have came out before, well, technically while we were born, like we were alive. It came out while we were alive. We were nowhere near the age to consume that media yet. And I don't know the first time I saw Toy Story. Like I don't even think I saw Toy Story 2 in theater. I don't know, when did 2 come out? I think
1999.
99. So I might have seen that in theaters, and I don't know the order. Like I don't know if I saw 2 first and then 1, or 1 and then 2. But that goes to show you that like Toy Story was such a massive part of our childhood, yet it didn't come out while we were of age in a
Yeah,
sense.
it shows you the longevity of it because at the time it was so earth-shattering. Nobody had ever seen anything like that before, especially on the silver screen. I wore out that VHS tape.
Yeah. Wow.
You could. I'd love to have my mom speak to this. She always mentions this. I'd be jumping on the couch every single day. I'd say for a solid 6 month stretch when I was about 3 4 years old, singing "You Got a Friend in Me."
Oh.
After the movie ended, I watched that movie front to back a lot,
That,
and even right now. I could do it right now, and I would enjoy every single second of it. It's part of our lives.
Well, I can't do that because my mom did the worst thing any child could ever ask for. At some point in my early preteens or early teens or preteens, whatever, she got rid of like all of my VHS tapes. Like, I don't know what made her do that, to the point where like I had a lot of the ones that were valuable, and I bet whoever has them didn't even know the value of these things. And so I don't hate my mom. I can't say I hate her. You can't do that. But like,
I'm very glad you don't hate
yeah,
your
yeah.
mom.
But I have this like inner like struggle to ever forgive her for that, because it's like, god damn it. I
Oh,
know
I'm not sure I have the VHS anymore
Yeah.
either.
Oh.
Right now, like any responsible Pixar fan, you would have it on DVD at least at this point, which I have,
DVD,
along with
Blu-ray,
the director's commentary.
the 4K Ultra that's out now. Pick up the 4K Ultra if you
You
guys
should at
can.
least have the DVD.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think I've worn out my Lion King. I know I did that. I know I tried to watch it, like when I was about 8, and it was like gray, and it was like grayish color, and I was like, oh, I didn't know what that meant, because I didn't know you could do that to VHS tapes.
Shows you how ignorant I am of anything outside of Pixar. I didn't see The Lion King till I was 20 years old, and yeah,
know
that's
that.
the one time I've seen it.
You're a dickbag. Sorry. Just wait, you've never seen? I know this is not a Lion King show, but you've never seen 1.5 or 2? Or
It's not a
have
Cars show either, but well, we might as well just go down the rabbit hole of everything not Toy Story. No, I didn't see any of those. Lion
Wow,
King movies.
they're great. They're actually 1.5 is really fun because it's the first movie in the perspective of Timon and Pumbaa. So it's just everything they saw through their lens. It's really
That's
fun.
cute.
It's really fun. But anyway,
That's cute.
so back to Toy Story. The legacy that it's had on our lives basically is huge. Like, I remember having the I don't remember his name, and you're gonna tell me this because you know everything about fucking Pixar. What is the car's name in Toy Story? Is it RC? Like, is it just a very simple?
RC.
Yeah, okay. So I had him, I had Rex, I had Woody, I had Buzz, I had fucking every character you could think of. I basically had when I guess I did have them when I was like 2 or 3 years old. I don't even know. To be honest, I don't know. But like, I had all the toys. I remember playing with them all the time.
Absolutely.
Same thing.
Mean,
Like,
yeah, the merchandise was huge at the time for Toy Story. I mean, there's a line in Toy Story 2 when the toys are inside Al's toy barn trying to rescue Woody, and the Barbie's giving them a tour of the store, and they get to the Buzz Lightyear aisle, and she says, "Don't quote me word for word, but." Back in 1995, short-sighted retailers did not order enough supply for demand regarding the Buzz Lightyears, and that was absolutely true. That was a nod to how nobody could predict the success of the movie and how many kids like us would want to own their own Buzz Lightyear among the other characters.
the only thing I can compare that to is Star Wars when it came out in '77. I don't know if you know this, but in '77, the movie came out in May, and they didn't expect that anybody would like the movie. And so in Christmas of '77, they, instead of giving kids toys, they gave them a piece of cardboard that had the pictures of the eventual toys, and you order that, and in next Christmas you get all the toys. Like, it's the biggest fuck you to kids. Hey, here's a piece of paper. Pick which ones you want, and you'll get them eventually. Yeah, I think that's actually worse than what happened with Buzz. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, so huge franchise in our lives. Toy Story 2 for me, and I think for most people, it is the Toy Story. Like, I don't know. Is that for you?
It is for me. If I was going to rank them in terms of whether which one is the best or which one I enjoy the most, I would certainly put Toy Story 2 first. But I have to say, I think it's very divided among people. I think a lot of people I know look at Toy Story 3 as the best up until now, and I mean, a lot of people obviously put the original above all.
Right.
So I'd say it's 3 divided camps.
But it's one of those things.
And now we throw a 4th one into the mix.
And it's one of those things that I think if you pick any one of them, you won't be wrong, in a sense. Like, I don't think anybody's wrong with their choosing, but it's not one of those things where I don't think it's not like Star Wars and someone goes, "Oh my God, Episode 1's your favorite movie? What the fuck is wrong with you?" Like, it's nowhere near that. Each and every Toy Story movie is critically acclaimed. It is loved by the fans, the critics. They've won countless awards, maybe not at the Oscars, but in other awards ceremonies. So, regardless of what movie you pick, you're in good hands. But I'm curious of where 4 will rank now, and we'll get into talking about it soon. But I wonder where 4 will rank, being that 3 for me was like just watching, and I don't mean to compare this really, but everybody has mentioned this. It's basically watching the toys in a concentration camp being burned alive. Like it's dark to say.
I mean,
like,
I never thought that.
I've heard many people say this.
Yeah, many people.
Yeah,
sure.
5.
Yeah, but I want to hear your critique of Toy Story 4.
Okay, so that's what the show's about. Let's go. Let's do it. Okay. No, I'll make sure to do that, but at a different time, because you deserve it, because you like cars. So seeing Andy again was kind of strange for me. Like, and I wrote this in the show notes, and there's a reason I wrote it. Seeing Andy again as a little boy kind of brought like not a tear to my eye, but like some sort of a gratification of, that is the kid we grew up with. That is the kid. That is us at heart, essentially. Watching ourselves, it's kind of like watching ourselves playing with the toys again, and that was really cool seeing him in that little short scene where it shows him growing up and giving it to Bonnie. So that was pretty cool for me. The movie as a whole for me, it's strange because I've seen it twice already, and I want to say it's the best Toy Story movie ever, because it's like you just saw it, and you want it. The last thing you saw is the best thing you saw.
Sure.
You're gonna laugh, or maybe you're not gonna laugh, but I did not see the ending coming. Like,
really?
Right away. And now that I watch all the trailers, it's so fucking obvious that he's going bye-bye. Like,
yeah,
it's so
it
obvious.
became obvious to me midway through the movie.
Okay, so midway through, when it happened, like when Buzz was like, "No, Bonnie's gonna be okay," I wasn't shocked about. Like, okay, I guess I saw that part coming, but like as a whole, sitting down when I first sat down on the movie, that was not a thought in my head. Like, and I know, reading people's comments online, they were like, in the trailers, they're like, "Oh, this is the end of this is the end of Woody," and I'm like, I never thought about that. Like, I not once, and I just put the trailer on before I sat down to talk to you. And I'm reading the lines on the screen. I'm listening to the song they chose. I'm listening to everything and watching everything. I'm just going, oh, it's fucking obvious. It is so obvious. This is the end. But yeah, I didn't see that coming. So you said you saw that coming. But when did you realize that?
I mean, coupling the fact that he was playing such a second fiddle to Forky in the eyes of Bonnie throughout the movie, and then combining that with his feelings for Bo and how she kept mentioning over and over again about being a lost toy is great, and he seemed like he really wanted to do things with her. It seemed like writing on the wall for me. I think I began to see it when every single time Bonnie would look at both Woody and Forky, she would just, be like, "Oh, hey, it's Forky, yay!" And she would never worry about losing Woody.
Right.
So it was clear to me. I think, to me, overall, it was a great movie. I like to think of it as 75% fantastic and 25% kind of rushed and flat and disconnected. So you combine those two, and you still have a great movie. I sort of, just towards the end, it started falling off the rails for me, if I want to be honest.
Yeah, I would look over at you in the theater, and I would go, he's not laughing as all of us are laughing. You're the only one dead face. And I was curious. I was like, is he?
Wait,
not...
which part? Do you remember?
I cannot remember, but I just know there was a moment where the whole theater was like erupted in laughter, and I looked over at you because I was like, "Oh, Matt's gonna like this." Oh, he didn't like it. And I don't.
Well, I think that's part of it when you're such a big fan and a franchise like this that's been around forever. You have so many conceptions of it in your mind, and then
Right.
I think that leaves it open to being a movie that you have expectations for, as opposed to a year from now we could be talking about Pixar's Onward, and that's something we really have no expectations for. It's like, oh, you got Avengers guys doing the voices. That's pretty much all we know.
Right.
It's not like Toy Story where you've spent all sorts of time and resources and money over the years loving it. So it's two different perceptions of a movie.
And I think that's for me. That's why I didn't see the Woody thing. I think because deep down I was like, they're not gonna take this band apart. They're not going to take these toys away from each other. If
Right.
anything, they're going to add Forky. They're going to add Bunny. They're going to add Ducky. They're going to add all these new toys as they've done in the past.
Right, Bunny and Dougie, great, by the way,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Key and
along
Peele
with
are
Duke
amazing.
Boom.
Oh, Keanu Reeves, Duke Kaboom, yeah.
Hell yeah, that. I mean,
And that's what I saw. Like I just nothing told me, hey, one of these or five of these guys, whatever it is, are gonna leave the group. And I never saw it as that. I just saw, yay, Bonnie's gonna have a bunch of new toys.
you know what also cued me into it? You may not have seen, but I saw Tim Allen do a bunch of TV spots, like he was on Jimmy Fallon and such, and he would sort of say the same thing on every show. He'd say, we'd be doing the script, and I'd be like, Woody, and I'd be like, what? That's it? I look up for my script, and wow, that can't be it. That's it. He just sort of seemed he was really, really playing in how he couldn't believe that it was the end. He truly couldn't believe that it was the end while he was reading it, and so that gives you a lot of ideas.
See, I saw an interview with Tim Allen and Tom Hanks, and that more or less was said, but I took it as this is the end of it, or like the franchise, not the end of their relationship or the end of Woody. I just saw it as a whole. This is the end of Toy Story, because again, you didn't need to make this movie. I'm sorry, but you didn't. But the fact that you did, I love it. Like, don't get me wrong, Pixar and Disney. Like, don't get me wrong, I love it. But that's how I saw it. I never saw it as bye bye Tom Hanks, bye Woody or whatever. Now, being that I said, and we'll get into the movie more and more, but I want to ask, being that we're on this, do you think there's another movie in the works? And if so, or at least down the line, and if so, where do you go? Do you do the Woody route? Do you do a Buzz route? Like, what do you?
I don't know. That's the thing. I think it would have to be. I mean, if this happens, I mean, I really hope it doesn't, because I mean, at this point,
Right.
if you make a whole nother feature film, I don't know. I think you're sort of watering it down.
Yeah.
And you, like I said, you don't really want to do that to your cinematic poster boy. I don't know. I guess it would have to be sort of like Toy Story: The Next Generation, something like that. But to go back to this movie, I sort of felt, like I said, 75% fantastic movie, and I literally mean from the start
Right.
till the moment Luxo Jr. went out in that rainstorm. Fantastic animation. I thought I was looking at a real shot of just mud going through a street corner, and it looked like a real RC car stuck in the mud there.
You're right.
And it was really, that was tugging at my heartstrings, because RC is sort of the innocent one. For some reason he's mute. He can't talk like the rest, which is sort of makes him more like a vulnerable character, and to see him in that position. What was that?
He's like their pet.
Yeah, and that sort of makes you wonder why, why is he like the Pluto of the group? Why can't he be Goofy? But that was fantastic. I mean, the scenes looked downright real.
See,
I don't even know how they do that.
When I watch a Pixar movie, I go in thinking this is all going to look lifelike, so I don't even think about the animation. Like, because I already know that they're gonna knock it out the park. They're gonna introduce something brand new that they've never done before. Just like in Finding Dory, that the new way that they did water was unlike anything any other studio has done. So I look, it just sucks. It sucks because, like, I'm a big person of CGI. I love animation. I love all that stuff. But it sucks because Pixar's been so revolutionary that I just go, they're gonna knock it out of the park. I don't really care.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird. I know it's very strange because I know they're gonna not surprise me because I know I know they're just gonna do a better job than the last one.
Right.
And so for me, I don't go into it going, surprise me, because I know they are. Like, I already know they are. The part that got me, that really made me think that these are two real individuals. See, Mike hit number one. That these are real individuals would have to be when they were underneath the car together, Bo Peep and Woody, when she's telling him to join him. To me, I did not see two toys. I saw two human beings having a legitimate interaction, and that, two characters that are deeply in love with each other. Uh, um, and for me, yeah, that was like, oh, I'm not seeing animation right now.
That's another thing that I want to ask you. The love between Woody and Bo, it seemed a little bit lost on me. I felt like I should have felt it so much more than I did.
Right. Yeah. Sure. I mean, I haven't seen Toy Story 1, 2, or 3 in very, very long time. So, and I didn't even get to watch them before I saw 4. So I don't recall their love interest as much in the previous movie, or I don't even know when the
You know
last time
what?
we
You know what
saw
I could
her.
compare it to? I compare it to the end of Toy Story 2. You have all the toys dancing around the room to Wheezy while he's singing.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think they was it like he's I don't know. He sounded like Robert Goulet singing "You Got a Friend in Me," and they're dancing around, and you have Woody and Buzz standing next to Buzz and Jesse, and very quite literally they were paralleling Woody and Bo with Buzz and Jesse, and Buzz and Jesse have a very awkward relationship, at least through 2 and 3. So I didn't really look at Woody and Bo as that madly in love. At the beginning of 3, you have Woody. They mention her in one line. Rex
Right.
goes, even Bo got lost, and Woody's like, "Yep, even Bo," and that could have been sorrow for anywhere from a close friend to a girlfriend to a mother to anything. It,
Correct.
it just
Correct.
sounded like general despair over her being gone. So I mean, but in that vein, it's good that they clarified how she got lost.
Well,
I
yeah.
thought that was awesome.
Also, for me, I don't see Bo Peep, or I didn't see Bo Peep like you said. I didn't see her as a love interest, but I took it for what it was. You're gonna reintroduce her in this movie, fine, okay, I'll take that. Two, we don't see the daily lives of these toys, so we don't know what relationship they had before. I know, granted, a lot of people can say, well, they should have showed it on screen. But I have a vivid imagination, and I know you do too, to the point where I could just go, oh yeah, maybe they did had a couple of cool days by themselves that wasn't on the in the movie.
Yeah,
So
no, sure. I mean,
that
to
type
me,
of idea I take.
yeah, through Toy Story, the first Toy Story. I mean, she's kissing him and this and that, and you see that they're an item. But even through all of that, I just felt like compared to Woody's love for Andy and then his
Right.
love, which was transferred to Bonnie, I just felt like it should be stronger for his kid than for Bo. But
Right.
that's just interpretation. I have a quote from Andy at the playtime scene at the end of Toy Story 3, which is why I sort of have a problem with the ending of this movie. And I quote Andy to Bonnie regarding Woody: "He'll never give up on you, ever. He'll be there for you, no matter what. Think you can take care of him for me?" And then she just loses him. Wait, but more important than that, he loses her.
Yeah.
Woody's just, okay, I'm just done with my obligation of being there for my kid, who, by the way, is nowhere close to 17 or 18 and going off to college.
Yeah.
I
It's.
don't understand that.
I
Like,
didn't know that was a
I
line.
mean, being a kid, you go, you could go a little while losing interest in a toy, but then you can regain interest in that toy. Oh, I wonder who did that. Maybe Andy in Toy Story 1. He momentarily lost interest in Woody, but
Right.
then he regained it.
Right.
Did Woody run away? No. So I just really, really, that was another thing that was lost on me.
Maybe I'm reading too much into this, but maybe she's a product of a modern childhood. They have 0 seconds of attention spans, so maybe she's just one that wants something new all the time, and Woody's clearly an old raggedy toy for her.
Well, by that logic,
Yeah.
how do you go from an actual toy to a spoon? Which, by the way, I found it funny how she was able to cuddle and sleep with Forky. I mean, that's not very comfortable. It's not
No.
like sleeping with a stuffed animal.
Also, how did he never fall apart other than his
Yeah,
eyes in the beginning? But
and he did, like, stuff came off of him, but he was so easily fixed. I mean, that's,
yeah,
we could argue about the physicality of it
yeah.
forever.
I think the clay part should have fell apart faster than googly. I don't know.
Yes.
But I mentioned to my dad. My dad's not a fan of any of these things. He's not a fan of anything animated. He's not a fan of Star Wars. He fucking hates anything like that. And yet he likes some of the worst movies that are out there, like any type of B or C type of movie that you'll find on like Netflix and shit, with the worst acting, worst explosions and stuff like that. But anyway, my point is, I mentioned to him about Forky. He was like, well, he asked me, he's like, how was Toy Story? And I was like, well, it's basically about a suicidal toy. Basically a suicidal fork. And he's like, what the fuck? Great. Just what a kid's movie needs. Suicide. I guess he has a point, though. Why did we need to see a suicidal toy? Was that necessary? Do you think it fits into the... I mean, I guess it fits into the climate that kids are in these days.
You mentioning this now is the first thought that I had regarding that word. To me, I looked at it as sort of dealing with someone who has a sort of a disability.
Oh, interesting. But that still doesn't mean they want to kill themselves.
I mean, I sort of looked at it not as straight up suicide, more like,
True. Okay.
Forky, he had a longing to maybe do some self-harm, do some interact and engage in some behavior that was unbecoming of somebody who's all there in their mind, and Woody had to sort of be the caretaker in that sense.
Okay, but so for me, in the moment of watching the movie, I saw it as suicide.
No, I think that's a very good point. I mean, trash pretty much equals death, right?
Right.
I mean, we saw that in Toy Story 3 in the dump.
And also, like, when someone calls you a piece of trash, it's never a positive thing.
Right.
So I saw it as that. Like, I mean, granted, he was made of garbage and whatnot, but still, like, when someone calls you trash, they're basically telling you to fuck you and you're worthless or whatever. And I saw it as that. I'm curious if that's of any kid seeing this movie. I'm curious what their thoughts are on. Do they even realize what that is? Do they not even think about it? I'm curious. Or if they do later down the line.
I think it's sort of the point is more about self-discovery, right? I think an interesting thing that this movie did, sort of, you could call it at the same time, you can call it groundbreaking and you can call it stupid. It's sort of it interacts with the causality of what makes a toy, and what makes a toy come to life, right?
Which is my
Forky himself said, I have no idea, in the post credits, I believe. And he we just don't know. That's one of those, that's like the movie magic factor there, that people like us, I guess, we attempt to explain, and a lot of people make careers out of that, being analysts and reviewers of movies like this. So it's interesting that the movie actually dealt with that.
Yeah, and the idea of, like, if you read any sort of philosophy, the idea of this, Buzz always has an existential crisis, and he has another one in this movie. He has...
Well, what is his crisis, though? Tell me.
He's not aware. Well, I think they want us to think
because
he's
stupid.
Yeah, basically.
They made him an idiot in this movie.
And I wanted to talk.
That was one of the
about
first points I wrote down.
I want to talk about that
preparing
actually.
For this.
But my thing is, unlike in the other movies where he actually has a crisis, I think, yes, in this one, we're gonna make you think he's having one, but in actuality, we're just gonna dumb down the character, because Woody's talking to him and telling him about his conscience, and he's thinking it's the fucking button on his chest. And obviously that's not true. It's Woody is aware of his conscience and his inner self, except Buzz isn't. And I don't know. Again, you could dig deeper into that, and maybe they are trying to tell us that Woody's aware of life, and Buzz just takes it for what it is. I'm a toy that talks. Like, he doesn't. Well, he doesn't want to dig deeper.
That's the thing. I would love to think that if Buzz was just some random relief character, but I mean, he was such a heroic figure
Right.
in 2 and 3, especially 2. Like,
Yeah,
are you
two
kidding
two
me?
is
The
his
things
movie.
he
Yeah.
went through to save Woody in Toy Story 2, and how he Buzz was really trying to keep Woody with the group in 3. Obviously, his instinct was wrong, but that's a different matter of his mind and his spirit. But uh, I just felt heroic was the word for Buzz Lightyear. Always
Right.
growing up, and
Right.
and just to see him be so dumb, it was so off-putting. I kind of look at it like, here we go again, going back to Cars. It's how Mater in Cars 2 got such a large role where he shouldn't have that because he's an idiot.
No, the
you know,
opposite. Yeah.
and Buzz is so far beyond that. He's not the idiot tow truck. He's the I always looked at let's say Woody and Buzz. I looked at them as a 1 and 1A. I didn't look at them as 1 and a 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I would have to agree with that.
But this movie, I mean, it's absolutely. I mean,
It's
they're an A
one.
and a C.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say that. Yeah, yeah. They're nowhere near each other. Also, what the fuck? Why wasn't there any sort of Jesse in this movie? Like that pissed me off.
Exactly, and that sort of contributes to why I felt the ending of the movie was just disconnected, for lack of a better word. I didn't like that at all. How the original family was just cooped up in the RV for the entire movie, which I guess, you know, you have a new director here. It's not John Lasseter directing. I mean,
Sorry,
you
sorry.
knew that name was coming up.
Sorry, folks. If you don't know about John Lasseter, just type in John Lasseter sexual misconduct, and you'll know what we're talking about. But go on, man.
And he still got a credit in this movie.
Yep.
Oh, it's a different director. It was Josh Cooley, and
What has he
Josh
done?
Cooley.
I don't know his repertoire.
I'll look up what he's done.
Yeah.
Like it's sort of like, Brian Fee was a directorial debut for Monsters U. Sorry, Brian Fee was a directorial debut for Cars 3. Um, so it's new directors, sort of the young blood of Pixar, and it's a direct result of the studios working on who knows how many projects all at once.
Can we talk about this?
So there's different teams.
Yeah, can we talk about this real quick? Because this is something, and while you're looking that up, I'm a firm believer that there needs to be the head honcho. There needs to be some sort of person looking over everything. Marvel, you have Kevin Feige. At Disney, sorry, at Lucasfilm, you have Kathleen Kennedy now. She's been CEO since George sold the company to to Disney. Sorry, and at Pixar, you had Lasseter for a while, for it seems like forever. Now that he's gone, I'm curious as to how the studio will move forward because I don't know how much hand he had in Toy Story 4. Clearly, he's mentioned, but it doesn't mean he had anything to do with
He's had a lot of hand in many things.
it. So I'm curious of what this means going forward. Is Pixar going to be the studio that we look towards for deep storytelling and at the same time being childlike at heart, or is it going to change a bit? I'm curious because
I think it has to change. I mean, with John gone, I mean, whatever happened to him outside of work, absolutely, can him. But what he did for the studio is unparalleled, and I think it wasn't just him. You had
no, I know, yeah.
Andrew Stanton, Pete Docter, who are still with the company, and I think those two are, I don't know, sort of the in essence head honchos now. But maybe those guys are more about, I want to worry about what I'm directing right now, and I'll give you some advice on your project, but I'm not gonna waste my time and resources on other projects.
Exactly. So I'm curious if Pixar is going to suffer through that. And curious, is that why Toy Story 4 is the story that we got, or why little moments in the movie are what we got? Like, for instance, why maybe Jesse's not in the movie as much. Because maybe if Lasseter was in charge, maybe he would have added more Jesse. Stuff like that. Little things that make a big difference to a film. But again, we love Toy Story 4, don't get us wrong. But again, little moments like that. Just the same thing in The Last Jedi with Star Wars, and I know this is not a Star Wars thing, but there's little moments that if there was an actual big team at Lucasfilm that actually was following every little thing, they would not have allowed certain story points in The Last Jedi and or The Force Awakens if you want to connect this whole story together. So
Absolutely. I think it evolves because it grows. You can't stop that. I think, Stanton did contribute to the screenplay for Toy Story 4, as did Rashida Jones. If you're
yeah, I saw that.
if you're an Office or Parks and Rec guy, which I didn't even know she was a writer. But
Oh
I
no,
think
she's a good filmmaker too. She's actually she made a documentary about her father's life. Really cool documentary. You should check it out on Netflix. It's about Quincy Jones, her daddy. But anyway, sorry.
anyway, no, you're fine.
Dick.
I mean, going back to how I felt the ending was disconnected. It sort of felt like, it felt like supplemental material. It felt like just an overly emotional 11-minute holiday special.
Do you think we're going to get a story in like a couple of months or a couple of years where it's like, well, yeah, it turns out that Toy Story 4 had a lot of rewrites due to the fact that John Lasseter had to leave. We had to change the story up, yada, yada, yada. Do you think something like that might be the cause of all this?
I do recall hearing stories of Rashida Jones sort of being in and out at the same time on the project because of what Lasseter has done.
Right.
So I'm sure, I don't know if anything like that will come out, so to speak.
Right,
but
right.
A guy like that who is, like you said, the head honcho, if he's having problems or if he's causing problems, there's absolutely a trickle down effect.
Yeah, and this is not the first time, and I'm not saying this is it, but this wouldn't be the first time Pixar has had an issue behind the camera, I guess. The Newt film was supposed to come out, and it never became a thing, and Good Dinosaur was a piece of trash, and they had to re-record everything. And it still wind up being trash. So this is not the first time that they've had an issue like this. You have the original Toy Story 2 story that I shared with you.
Absolutely, almost entirely lost. Is that the story you're talking about?
Well, that's one of like the things that I'm just mentioning, like the fact that it's not the first time they've had issues behind the screen. So
yeah. So I mean, if I could sort of go back to the ending of Toy Story 4, I just felt, I've used this word a couple times already, but disconnected, because it sort of became too self-aware at the end for me. Like the last
okay, explain yourself.
The last quarter of the movie, or the last 20% of the movie, or whatever, I thought it was all going smoothly until I saw Buzz Lightyear sort of really turn his back on Woody, which was a little strange. And Woody's done that to Buzz in the past, so I guess in terms of both of them thinking that they're the more rational person, so I can live with that. But then when the toys are when Woody, Ducky and Bunny, Bo and her gang, and the new voice boxed Gabby are trying to find their way back to the RV, and Gabby finds this lost girl, that to me, like, the story hit a wall. Were you feeling that at all?
No. It hit a wall. Interesting. I don't think so.
It hit a wall to me because I'm like, whoa, okay, now you're throwing another wrench into the situation. I like it's just a little weird how Gabby will go from the absolute depths of despair, being thrown onto the floor by the girl who she was hoping to get taken home by, and then immediately finding her forever home. I don't know.
Oh, that girl. Yeah.
I was just wanting, maybe wanting a little more reality. I think it would have been more real if she just would have been added to Bonnie's family of toys. And then after that, I just felt, for reasons I've already said, I didn't like the goodbye between Woody and the gang. Just for Bo and for being the lost toy, so to speak, even down to the actual goodbyes, like Woody giving his sheriff badge to Jesse, you know, sort of what's the significance of that? It was sort of, wasn't really established. I mean, obviously, it's very obvious what it means, right? But here is Woody giving, such a gesture of honor and humility and a passing of the torch, so to speak, to a character who had like two lines in the movie.
Two things I'm very confused about right now. Not anything you've said, but I think okay. One's not a confusion. The part where they said goodbye to each other, and then the car starts to start and starts to move, and they have to quickly leave. I didn't like that because I'm kind of like you're now rushing a moment that could have marinated a little bit longer.
Absolutely.
Um,
Think about Toy Story 2. They had an emotional moment in Al's apartment when Al was not there, and they had
right.
the option to go hide into into the air vents. So just sort of the physicality of the setting of that scene made it so much more comfortable and so much more fitting for emotional moments and long speeches, etc. And here they are. I mean, okay, first of all, there's cops chasing the RV in the middle of a carnival. The awning is out, and I mean, people can see them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just the setting was all wrong for that, for me.
The other part that I'm weirded out by, and you might not think it's a big deal, but someone who likes to write, um, story points are huge for me, and character motivation are big. And at the beginning of the movie, they had Bonnie not wanting to play with Woody, and he became one of those. What seemed what would you call those toys that he was hanging out with, those the old timey toys, like her baby toys, I guess they were,
Yes.
right? So and he winds up getting a dust bunny and all that stuff. But then, he throws himself into the bag to go to the school. He makes Forky, whatnot. But he's brought on to the vacation with them. But I thought he wasn't being played with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why introduce that at all if you're still going to bring him on a vacation with a kid that doesn't want him at all?
Yeah.
That I did not understand, and that is a
Yeah.
huge plot point.
Yeah.
That
Basically, I think what it comes down to is for Woody to leave his kid some life altering um, uh, experiences have to, be acted upon him, right?
yeah.
And I think the bottom line is the things that happened to him in the movie weren't strong enough to warrant that decision to me.
Yeah, I guess I have to agree. I mean, granted, I've seen it twice, but I didn't really think of that while watching it. Um, yeah, I guess you're right because there's nothing in this movie that really says, "Well, Woody, it's now time to go. She's set. She's ready." It's not like you said she's not heading off to college or anything where she doesn't need toys anymore. She's still a little kid at heart. She's still a little fucking kid. Not even at heart. She's still a little kid. She needs her toys, and he needs to be there for her, but he thinks he doesn't need to be there anymore, and that to me, yeah, it just didn't make sense. There's nothing
Yeah,
that has warranted his completion, I guess, of his mission or whatever you want to call it,
exactly.
of being a toy. I'm very curious. I don't know, has this ever been mentioned in a previous Toy Story movie? The fact that he was made in the 50s? Was that ever?
Um, Actually, no. It was, I mean, strongly suggested in Toy Story 2 regarding all
Right, the old
you
stuff.
know,
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
old merchandise. You
Yeah.
can gather that based on the era pre Space Toys, the era that it's from. But no, you're absolutely right. It was never outright mentioned verbally.
Yeah, and of course he's sought after in two, being a collector's item and stuff. But now this leads me to believe like, ooh, I wonder what his other owners were like, or what what was his life like before, and why is Andy? I mean, I know this is reading too much into things, but why is Andy the kid for him? Like, why isn't it like this guy named Jake from 1962? Like, why isn't it that kid or something?
Exactly. And I
Why
think
the fuck is it Andy?
it goes back to the point where everything that happened in the movie is just not strong enough to abandon his whole ideology
Right.
of quote being there for your kid. Shout out to Super Carlin Brothers on YouTube who do fantastic Pixar videos about the theories and things like that. They sort of constructed this theory, and it's based on not just Easter eggs, but interviews with directors and writers and artists about how Woody was sort of uh, a family toy, and that's suggested by a line from Andy's mom in Toy Story 2, and he was sort of uh, Andy's father's toy, and that's sort of Woody sort of coping with the fact that Andy's dad is gone, and they
Oh,
somehow they throw Carl and Ellie from Up into the whole thing, and they're related to Al from Al's Toy Barn. Uh, it's a very interesting theory.
my God.
You go check that out. Super Carlin brothers. Not like they need a shout out, but
They definitely don't need a shout out. But no, they do make great
interesting
stuff.
video.
They do make great stuff.
Yeah.
It's strange. I didn't actually ever think about that. The fact that he was a I wouldn't want to say hand me down, but from his father.
A key piece that I'm missing there is think about how much Woody merchandise that Al collected, and yet he was so dumbfounded and it was so earth-shattering to him that he found an actual Woody doll. So it was sort of about the rarity of Woody too, and how
Right.
he was sort of sought after, a lot of merchandise regarding Woody's Roundup, but not many actual Woodies.
Yeah, because Buzz, there's like a fucking bajillion of them in that store in Al's Toy Barn.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting. I never. Wow. See, this is why I like talking to you about Pixar, because I find something.
This is
new
why
or-
I'm the Pixar expert. If you don't want to call me an expert, fine. I'm not getting paid for it, but I'm an expert fan.
Do you like expert or aficionado? Because I think I said aficionado before.
No, I really don't like aficionado because you can say that about. I could be an aficionado of Subway sandwiches,
But you are. No. Okay, interesting.
I'll
so
try
expert,
to think of I'll try to think of an appropriate title
Yeah,
by the end of this episode.
Pixar fairy.
Thank you.
I don't know why I did that, but anyway. So yeah, back to Toy Story 4. Did you like? Because I'm still a bit like uneasy, because I don't know. I can't even talk. I can't even explain myself. But I'm a bit uneasy as to the fact that why majority, was it like 90% of this movie, or maybe like more like 70% of this movie is in a fucking antique store. Like, I didn't like that. It seemed too dull and bleak for a kids movie to be just in an antique shop all day. I didn't like.
Yeah,
that.
no, I mean that's a solid point. I think I thought it was cool because over the course of the trilogy, you see toys in in a child's bedroom, in school, daycare, in a garbage incinerator, in all sorts in luggage, on airport conveyor belts. You see the toys
I guess that's
everywhere where a toy could possibly be, right? And this is like an all new environment for them. So I personally liked it, but no, I mean you're absolutely right. I think movies that sort of stay in one location, I think that can really bring down your opinion of a movie when you think back on it, because sometimes your mind just subconsciously wants the characters to keep moving, but keep moving physically too.
I mean,
And
there's great movies that do that, and this is I guess you have to give it to this movie for being that type of film. But I think I was just honking back to the time of when they were always moving around, like Toy Story 2. I think part of the reason why it's such a great movie is because it's an adventure film.
absolutely so many different settings.
Yeah, the classic scene of them crossing the street with the
Oh,
cones.
that's
Like,
yes.
I if they did that again in this movie, I would have just
Yeah,
I would have been so
yeah.
excited.
Absolutely. And I think that goes back to the movie becoming a little bit too self-aware. Maybe you need to go back to the basics a little bit.
Right. And I think, I don't know, tell me if I'm wrong about this. If you know this is your last Toy Story movie, if you know this is the last one you're likely ever going to do, or if so, maybe for the next 10 years, why don't you play with the nostalgia more? Play with that bit, People seem to like it. It sells. Would you have liked that? I mean, I know they did it in this movie. Don't get me wrong. I know they played with the nostalgia clearly. But if they did a little bit more of it, or what would you have liked that more or not?
I think this is where you have to consider the fact that there's the corporate side of wanting to sell merchandise.
Correct. See, you and I understand.
You're combining that with industry professionals who really want to make some noise. Like a Rashida Jones who a lot of people will probably just look at her as a pretty face on TV, right? But maybe she wants to uh, show herself as a writer, or Josh Cooley, who previously was like a storyboard artist, and he wants to really, really like he wants to make some noise. He wants to show people what he's got, and you do that by creating new things and new adventures. And I think that's what if there's any studio that still encourages that, I would say it's Pixar, right?
I agree 100%. But this goes to the point where we were making before is you could do all that new stuff, but come on, you could have still had the old characters join in on that. And that goes to that. Like
Yeah, it's true.
I would
It's
have
true.
liked Rex
Yeah,
to join in on this.
absolutely. I mean,
Um,
I didn't like. I hated it. I hated the original family being stuck in the RV. Like I
the
said.
only one that I understand, or I guess the only two, is Don Rickles, Mr. Potato Head, and Miss Potato Head. Because I know Don Rickles passed away. Obviously, we all know that. But I also believe the lady that plays Mrs. Potato Head has passed, um, if I am not mistaken.
I'll look it up.
So I would not be surprised as to why. Clearly, Mr. Potato Head only said like one thing, and it was something that was probably recorded in '95, or whatever. So no surprise there. I mean, the guy that did Slinky died after the first movie, and Slinky's had a role in every other movie since, but
Right.
except for this movie. Again, like why was it a budget issue? Did like Tim Allen and Tom Hanks want so much fucking money? Like what was it? What was the cause of all of this? Because in some cases that is a big thing. Like the two big actors want a certain amount of money. Sorry, the rest of you guys, we have to just deal with that. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Bothered me
mean,
a bit.
going back to Estelle Harris real quick, the voice of Mrs. Potato Head. She is still alive.
Oh yes,
Yes,
okay.
we're not going to be like the New York Mets here, who claim people to be dead, but they're not actually dead.
Wait,
Um,
excuse me, what happened?
the New York Mets, honoring their 1969 championship team, announced two of the players on that team as in remembrance of them, but the two guys were still alive. Just goes to show how much of a mess that organization is.
What?
Pixar is a much more tightly run
Yeah, yeah.
organization than the New York Mets. Which, by the way, I mean, going back to Don Rickles, let's go back to Cars 3. Doc Hudson, voiced by the late Paul Newman, had a huge role in Cars 3. That was all pieced together audio from bits of lines that were never used. So,
Right.
just saying, I mean, obviously, it wouldn't have to be essential to the story, but you could have gone into the archives and got some more Don Rickles.
Yeah, and
I think there were probably a couple of gems
Yeah.
in the Don Rickles archives.
I mean, I also heard that they said that they had recorded all his lines before he passed, which just goes to show what's been cut out of the movie. Like he must have had a different role, maybe, or he, whatever. But clearly, he only says like fucking one line, and that pissed me off. I'm sorry, but you don't. Mr. Potato Head is a voice of reason in these movies a lot of the times.
Is he?
I,
Is he really? He's the one who wanted to throw Woody out of the moving truck.
I know it's a joke,
He's
or maybe he wasn't wrong. No, he's a bit of a
he's the
dickish
realist.
character. Yeah, he's a real. I like him like that. You need a guy like that on your team every now and then.
totally.
So
You uncultured swine.
yeah, so it's great, but the fact that they again, and we're gonna, and I guess that's the big moment, the big takeaway from Toy Story 4 is, great movie, but you missed out on some interesting opportunities, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, more so for me, great movie because I'm splitting the difference between how I felt throughout and how I felt at the end.
Yeah. How did you feel with the usage of Bonnie? Like, do you feel like they gave us too little of her, or is she not important at all to you?
Oh
I'm
no, I
curious,
thought it
like,
was fine. I mean,
yeah,
if I could equate it to the original Toy Story with Andy, I think
yeah,
perfect. He drives the decisions of the toys while interacting with his parents too, just like Bonnie did in this movie. So I was completely fine with that.
were you surprised that even the newer toys from Toy Story 3 were not even utilized as much? I mean, they did have a
Yes,
role.
absolutely. Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was very surprised by that. I mean, you have um, Buttercup, voiced by Jeff Garland, who's also the voice of the captain in Wall-E. I mean, he's great. He had one funny line that we saw together had the whole theater erupting when he
That
wanted
was great.
Dad to get arrested.
That was a great line. That
You have Dolly, voiced by Bonnie Hunt, who also has a small role in Monsters Inc. while also doing the voice of Sally in the Cars franchise. I mean, she's really good, and she was sort of depicted as the new leader of Bonnie's Toys. And where the hell is she?
who's what character is that? Let me see.
Uh, this is Dolly, the one who was sort of
Oh yeah, she was like the general in a sense.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. She was the new toy general, and what happened to her?
yeah,
Nothing.
yeah, yeah. I like the other dinosaur. I love the girl. I love the voice. She's in fucking Bob's Burgers, I think. Um,
Yes, Trixie.
Trixie. There we go. The character. Yeah, I love her, and she had a great role in this movie, though. But again, a little more from them would have been.
A lot more.
Would have been, yeah, would have been great. It was cool hearing her as a GPS. You know, it's just I just her voice, just it fits perfectly into a child's movie. She has a childlike voice, and just give her more lines.
Exactly.
That's all
Did
you
you
gotta
notice the absence of Barbie and Ken?
I did, but were they not given to Bonnie, or they were? I'm confused. Were they given to Bonnie or no?
Oh, they stayed at the daycare, right?
I think so. I think so.
I mean, you could have worked them in if you really, if you wanted them. I thought Michael Keaton was great as Ken in Toy Story
guess.
3. Also did the voice of Chick Hicks in Cars. And I don't know. Just throwing that out there. Ken and Barbie could have been
Loxo
in.
the bear. He's dead, right? Or is he alive? I don't remember.
The voice actor?
No, the bear.
He was alive at the end of 3. He got his justice by being strapped to the front of a garbage truck.
So he's likely dead. Uh,
I mean,
he's likely dead.
He could be. He could be.
Did you? Fuck you! You got me confused now. I had a thought, but anyway, something you want to say?
Yeah.
So okay, so I got something I want to say. I remember part of the movie that kind of didn't work for me would be the whole idea, and I guess I didn't see this coming too. I mean, I guess you did. I didn't. I didn't think Woody was going to give up his voice box that easily.
Yes.
I didn't think it was. I thought it was going to be another scene that we were gonna let marinate and let us feel for the fact that he's going to get rid of a piece of him that has been around since he became a toy, and a piece of him that meant so much to him. I mean, how do you let some other toy cut you open, take that out, and yeah, I don't know how to even to explain that. It's just, how the fuck you let that happen? Like, how
I think it goes to show how much Woody is he just so wants to help other toys, right? He did everything for Forky, and he once he learned about Gabby's story, he wanted to do everything to help her. It was very shocking. I think I have to look at that as something confusing and maybe even a little bit dark, but good. It sort of challenged me, watching that, because I mean that's your voice box. I mean, that's, as a toy, that's one of your organs.
laughing
And
because when you said voice box, all I thought about is Goodfellas, my fucking shine box. Sorry. Totally ruined your moment, but my thing is, on a story creative standpoint, sorry, is do you write that like that? Like, why didn't you let it milk it a bit?
yeah, and that also feeds into why I felt with the stuff with Gabby and the Lost Girl sort of made the story hit a wall, because through so much of the movie she was a villain. I understand, every villain has a backstory that can humanize them, right? But she's the scary one, right? She's the bad guy. She's got the dummies who are
Mentally retarded.
look scary. Yes.
Talk
That
about a
look
story about
scary themselves. The toy equivalent of the strong henchmen, right?
See,
She
now
fits the profile of being the villain, and then just boom, out of just on a dime, Woody decides to help her.
yeah. I didn't like that. And plus, when you said disability with Forky, that's how I saw the henchman. I saw Forky is suicidal, and the henchman is with disabilities. No joking to people with disabilities. We're just saying. You know, sorry for being sensitive. But anyway, that's how I saw it. But yeah, you're right. It was a completely quick turn. I didn't like that. Movies do that sometimes, and I think it's a lack of underwriting, good writing there. And whoever's decision was it Rashida Jones or? And I don't want people to think we're shitting on her at all by any stretch of the imagination. Well, you might be, but I'm not. But I don't want people to think that she's not. This is her first big thing, and so you cannot learn. You cannot do anything but learn from this experience, and that goes for her. And whoever else decided these moments, but you could tell that the writing team is not as polished as a previous Toy Story movie may have been.
I felt that way about probably the last four Pixar sequels.
Mm.
Felt that way. I felt that way about Incredibles 2. Felt that way about Cars 3. Felt that way about Finding Dory. I felt the scripts, the screenplays were so disconnected. The lines that these characters were saying are so strange and just a little too real, and you're throwing in elements that don't really have a payoff. I go to Cars 3, and Lightning McQueen made this big deal about jars of sacred dirt. It had absolutely no impact on the end of the story. I go to Finding Dory, and I go to when she found her parents at the end. It's like, what am I looking at? Am I looking at uh, sort of am I looking at a grave? Am I looking at, like, I don't know what those shells are. And a little childish too, I felt these sequels were. Finding Dory more so with the sort of like she dealt with very, very minimalistic babyish characters, the whales, so to speak. Lightning McQueen in Cars 3, I felt he didn't have any of the punchiness and the sarcasm and what made him him, and the arrogance, which turned to humble confidence in the first movie. Incredibles 2, I felt it was so real, just way too real. It was just like Mrs. Incredible having just such a boring conversation about marketing and business trends with I forget her name, the main villain
Oh
of
yeah,
Incredibles
don't
2.
if you don't remember, I don't remember.
I should know it. I should know it. The one who turned out to be the actual
Yeah,
screen
yeah, yeah,
slaver.
yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed that with these Pixar sequels, and I think it's maybe it's because the sequels are being delegated to different writers. Is that it?
Well, also people could say that it's because you guys are fucking old now and they're kids movies, but I don't think that's true because those old movies that we saw as kids still hold up. I think but you're gonna get those people saying that though. You know that you're
Absolutely.
gonna get people saying that.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't think that's true because
No, I don't think so
even
either.
even guys like you and me, we can I think we can sort of scratch the surface of verbalizing what's wrong with these scripts, right? And when I say wrong, that's such a blanket term,
Yeah.
but just little fixes here and
No,
there.
I know. I'm
We
with you.
with the training that we've had, schooling, so to speak, in that realm, we can we can we can detect these things, and I think that's as people who are able to, it shouldn't we should be able to detect all the things they've done right, right?
Yeah, this also goes to a thing that I wanted to do an episode on, is the idea that these so-called, fans, do they, they say X, Y, and Z about a film, but do you even know what you're talking about? Um, but that also goes to the same point as to the people that are making these movies. Um, how the fuck do you even get the job? That idea is,
Yeah, yeah.
you know. So yeah, I think we could do a whole series on that as to how and why these things fall through the cracks, I guess. But more back to Toy Story 4. Um, I didn't. I know you were a big guy into Easter eggs, and I know that's something you wanted to talk about. Did you get to catch any? Because I didn't.
Totally.
I
You
caught
know,
one, but
I missed all the standard ones. I didn't see A113. I didn't see the Pizza Planet truck, but I saw Ellie's grape soda badge from Up, which was the greatest one to me. I saw B&L batteries. I saw I saw a Carburetor County license plate. That's a reference to cars.
Car,
I
yeah.
saw
Oh, I saw that too. That was on. That was in the antique shop.
yes sir,
Yeah.
and the best one of all, which I think just ties a bow on
Oh,
making
I get it.
CGI movies about toys. They had the toy from Tin Toy in 1989, and it was about
Mm.
that's the short film that really inspired Toy Story.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that when I mean obviously because he's like right in your face, but I didn't think anything of him because I totally didn't recognize that. That's
Oh, I
like I
recognized him
forgot.
instantly.
Like
I felt warm inside seeing seeing the toy from Tin Toy, because that's what really started it all.
I noticed Sully in as a toy in the carnival real quick. Um,
Oh, I didn't see that.
yeah, and it's like towards the end of the movie they're like panning down. It's you only see like a fraction of a second you see him, but you know it's him because he's the colors. And stuff like that. But that's the only thing I picked up on. I mean, I didn't. I've never. I know you're gonna hate me. I've never seen Up, so I don't know about the grape soda fucking thing. The toy, the tin toy. I know I've seen this short, but while watching, I didn't realize that was him. And the license plate, I figured it was a reference because they tend to do references on license plates all the time. But I didn't read it, so I didn't know. And then I'm curious of where the Pizza Planet is. Wonder if we saw him on the highway. Wonder if we saw him or her. Sorry, for people that you know how people are, man. We
Well,
get
if I could shed some light on that, when the Pizza Planet truck does appear in the Cars movies, his name is Todd, so I guess we can assign him the male
oh,
gender.
he's a guy too, and
Well,
he's a
the
living
name
car.
is Todd when he's
Yeah, but maybe he had a
when he turns
reassignment.
anthropomorphic and has eyes. So
Interesting.
I mean, shouldn't we look that up? Shouldn't we look up where the Pizza Planet truck is? I mean,
I mean, yeah, I'm sure
we're
someone.
supposed to be
Well,
pontificating
this
as
is facts
experts
not
here.
included, so we don't
Yeah,
talk.
we don't use professionals, and I think it shows.
Yeah, exactly. There's been a couple episodes, and if anybody's still listening at this point in the show, congratulations. But you guys, if you're listening, you know we've talked about it all the time. When we gotta look something up, we sometimes don't even do it because it's just it's it's fucking.
You can do it yourself.
You can do well, it's also facts not included. We don't talk facts. Pizza Planet in Toy Story 4. I don't think anyone's talked about it yet.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm really mad at myself right now and disappointed in myself that I haven't looked up where it is. But
It
what are you
says
gonna do?
it says it's in a location we wouldn't expect. So, there you go. Oh, here we go. It says it's a tattoo. What?
Oh, is it on the guy's calf? Like,
Yeah, when he's
coming
leaving.
out of a stall.
Yeah. Yep.
Ah,
There you go.
I saw the tattoo in the theater, but
I
I
didn't see
I,
shit.
I didn't perceive what it was. It went by too fast.
I didn't
And
see.
I like that. I
shit.
like that.
Oh, I also heard there's Coco references. I saw them actually. Now that I think about it, now that I'm reading it here, and you saw them too clearly, but you didn't think about it. In the where Buzz is on the wall as a toy. Well, he is a toy, but like as a prize. There's guitars that's supposed to be like Coco references.
Okay.
Also, the frog that at the very end of the end, like the end credits, the two frogs that are like attached to the wall. One of them is the frog from Toy Story 3, where Luxo the bear is attached to that car.
Ah, I like that. I like
And
that.
that's one of them. Or it's like one of the type of toy, but I don't know if it's the same one. But yeah.
Right, right.
So like that's okay. That's all the Easter eggs that we have for you here.
This is why these movies are great, because you need to go through them frame by frame. It's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
I think listening to director commentaries, John Lasseter again was always the one to say, "We don't get anything for free. Everything in the background is completely made from scratch. Sometimes they might take models from the inventory of other movies, but every single thing in the background is designed and modeled from scratch, and that's what makes it such an undertaking. What they do.
Yeah, I think that's a thing that people who are unaware of movie making take for granted. I think some of us do as well too when watching a movie. But yeah, that thing was not there, man-made. I mean, it's man-made. It's not natural. It's a computer generated thing. Like someone had to sit there and painstakingly make that. So of course they're gonna drop some cool little things for people just because they had fun making it. It's it's a given. So I like it. Like I know they've done many hints to the Bug's Life before in the Toy Story movies. So that's really cool to find those.
Exactly. It shows you how it's really truly an art form.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Let's talk ranks. So
this is hard for me.
Vox.com has Toy Story 4 ranked 11 out of 21 Pixar films.
Vox.
So middle of the road. Do you agree with that?
I cannot give a definitive answer because I have not seen every Pixar movie.
You know, I'm about to hang up right now.
I'm sorry, but it's true. Let's see.
Get out of
Let's
here.
just see the ones that I have not seen because I've seen most. The ones that I haven't seen are. Let's see. Okay, I have a list right here. I have not seen the whole entirety of Ratatouille. I've seen it, but I have not seen the whole entirety. Wall-E, I've never seen it.
You make me sick. What's wrong with you?
I know. It's considered like the most heartfelt fucking movie they've ever made, but I've never seen it. I guess I'm a demon or something. I've never seen Up, as we've discussed.
Oh my god.
I
thought it couldn't get any worse.
I've not seen Brave. And I've not seen... That's it. Those are the only 3 I haven't seen.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've seen Monsters U.
Yeah.
In my opinion, one of the most criminally underrated movies. Monsters
Really?
University. I think it's a great
Wow.
story of self-discovery. So out of, what did you name, 4 that you haven't seen?
3.
Okay,
Well,
so out of... Go ahead.
No, you're right. 4 in total, but 3 in total. I haven't seen in their entirety. 1 I didn't finish.
Okay, so let's put Ratatouille in those 4. Out of 17, where would you rank Toy Story 4?
I don't know. That's really hard because again, some of these movies I only had seen in my childhood. Some of these movies I've seen. Like, it's unfair because, like, granted, Finding Nemo's not my favorite of the Pixar movies, but it's probably the one I've seen the most. And only because, like, when you go to the doctor's office, that's the one that they were playing at my doctor's office. That's some movie that I personally bought with my money when I was a kid to buy for the DVD. So, like, put my money where my mouth is, man. I don't let shit go to waste. I played that shit to crazy. So, and Bug's Life for me, it ranks up there at the top. At least I think it does. Again, I haven't seen it in many years. So I don't know where Toy Story 4 would rank. Maybe it's in the top 10. I'm going to go it's in the top 10.
Okay.
I'm going to say that just off the top of my head. Is it in the top 5? I don't think so, but no. I would have to sit down and really figure that out.
Absolutely not. I mean, I'm first, like I'm ranking it out of the 4 Toy Stories. I'm ranking it last. I can't put it above any of the other 3. The other 3,
you're right.
Like we said at the beginning of this episode, such a perfect trilogy, right? With such unique 3 parts to it. I can't.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Like I said a couple times already, Toy Story 4 felt supplemental.
Mm-hmm. I like that choice of word there.
Of course,
I think you're right.
Like I said, most of it fantastic. I'm certainly going to put it above Finding Dory, Cars 2, Cars 3, The Good Dinosaur. But no, it's certainly not up there with the Pixar greats.
So, I mean, I know for you the top 3 are Cars 1, Cars 2, Cars 3.
No, I just said.
I know, I'm just kidding. I'm just fucking around. So where is Cars 1?
Where do you think?
Number 7.
Take a wild
Yeah,
guess.
it's number 1.
Where Cars is ranked on my list. Yes, it is number 1.
Cars 2.
But I mean, going back to Finding Nemo though, I look at Finding Nemo as, if I like, objectively, systematically, or if you were to give a formula for what a perfect animated movie is, I think Finding Nemo checks all the boxes and hits them out of the park. I think objectively, I think Finding Nemo's the top of the list.
So let's look at Rotten Tomatoes, their ranking of every single Pixar movie. Number 1, I'm not even going to count number 1 because it's a short, so I'm not going to count that. But number 2, I guess, Toy Story 2 with 100%. Toy Story 1, 100%. Finding Nemo with 99%. Toy Story 4 currently sitting at that high ranking with 98%. Inside Out, Toy Story 3, Up, Coco, Incredibles, Ratatouille, Monsters Inc., WALL-E, Incredibles 2, Finding Dory, A Bug's Life, Monsters U, Brave, The Good Dinosaur, then Cars, Cars 3, Cars 2. They're all at the bottom.
All right, I'll get there in a second, but that's
this is critics. This is critics, though.
Coco seems high, while WALL-E seems low. That's what's sort of the most glaring thing in that list for me. But I mean, how long has Rotten Tomatoes even been around? Was Rotten Tomatoes around in 1995?
I don't know.
That's the thing. How can you?
But here's how Rotten Tomatoes works. I don't know. Do you know exactly how it works?
Explain for everyone listening who doesn't understand, please.
The explanation number 1 fucking million, because this is a part of me that really this irks me so much because people don't know how Rotten Tomatoes works. It's an aggregate of reviews. So let's say the New York Times, the LA Times, the Kentucky Journal, right? All these fucking places that do reviews, they aggregate those reviews, and whether or not, let's say the New York Times reviewer was like, I really like this movie, and I view it favorably, but I'm going to give it, 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's not a 5-star movie to them, but it is viewed favorably, which means it is not a rotten score. So if it's over 50%, it's still going to get a thumbs up, regardless if it's a 51 or 100. Do you get what I'm saying? So if a movie has a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, it only means that 98% of critics view it favorably. Does not mean that those 98 people all think it's a 9 out of 10.
Got it.
They only
98% of that 98% could have given it a 2 out of 5 stars.
Well, that would be no. They would have to give it what's half of 5? So 2.5. Yeah, 2.6. They would have to give it a 2.6 or better, but that's still equivalent to a 5 or to a 4 or to a 4.7 or whatever. It's still viewed positively. So when people see that a movie's viewed, it's got a 95% of Rotten Tomatoes, it must be awesome. Not necessarily. It could also just mean that the movie's just pretty good, So that's really all it means. So that's why I don't. Yeah, no, that's why I don't like to hump too much on Rotten Tomato scores. I don't like that. But it is the best out there because it's an aggregate, unlike IMDb, which lets anybody review on their site. And then a great movie gets like a 6 out of 10, and you're just like, well, I didn't like the movie because it said the name fuck, or something like that.
Yeah.
So
you got all the neckbeards leaving stupid reviews.
Yeah, it's got women in it. Yeah, so that's Rotten Tomatoes. So, that being said, critics don't like Cars.
But you know what? It's fine. It's fine. Once again, I'm going to go back to the great John Lasseter when he said, I don't make movies for critics. I make movies for fans.
Good point. No, and that's the way you should do it. I agree. As a critic myself, but I agree.
And I think you notice how you have all Cars movies lumped in there together, back to back.
Right.
While the Toy Story movies are separated by a few titles, because I feel like the franchise just has just such a negative connotation to it, and that's rightfully so. But I just, I think a lot of people don't separate the first from the other two.
Mm-hmm. I think you're right. So when it comes to rankings, though, I don't. I think we should do a whole episode on that. I think that's something we should actually genuinely do.
We should.
And you heard it right here. We are going to do it. I don't know when, but we'll do it. We might do it right now, in a different episode, but right now. A Bug's Life. A Bug's Life, man. That's a good fucking movie. I still think they should make a second one, but you can't because Kevin Spacey, man. Kevin Spacey.
That. Yeah.
Or is he alive still? I don't remember. It's been so long. Like not Kevin Spacey, but like the character that he plays.
Yeah, no. But I mean, what merchandise is A Bug's Life gonna sell?
Oh, that's what it's all about for you, huh? Just the damn merchandise. Yep. I guess that's what it's all about for Pixar too, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But who's buying toys? No one's buying. That's a whole another thing. No one's buying toys anymore, really.
Are they?
Not too many people. The only people buying toys are you and me and other collectors. Kids don't buy toys as much anymore.
Who says who?
It says toy makers. Star Wars toys have gone down. Most movies that are making toys, the people aren't buying them as much.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, that seems about right. I mean, a lot of the satisfaction of imagination you get as a kid is sort of fulfilled by electronics nowadays.
It's on a fucking screen, man.
Like every baby is born with an iPad in their hands.
Oh, that's so disgusting. Ugh, it scares me. But anyway, yeah, that's basically But that's it. So this has been an interesting episode. Is there anything else that needs to be talked about? Is there anything that you loved or bothered by Toy Story 4, or was for me? I think I needed to talk about everything I needed to talk about.
I think, like Mr. Lassiter, I have covered it all.
You sick fuck. I think we're good here. I think actually I'm gonna play in the edit, of course. I'm gonna play the trailer for Toy Story for those that wanted to hear it. It's a good trailer to listen to, not even just watch. I think if you just close your eyes and listen to the trailer, you'd be smart, unlike me, and know that Woody is gonna die. Well, he didn't die, but he's gone. But just like Woody says, bye-bye. This has been a really fun, amazing episode, I think. Matt, you should be on more often instead of just Pixar stuff. And
I should. Well, bring me on for your Pixar ranking episode. Everyone listening, Stay tuned to how much my rankings are going to piss you off.
I bet you have a list already.
Oh, I have my list right in front of me. You kidding me?
Well, there we go.
But for now, here comes the softball, Peter. It's to infinity
and beyond.
There we go.
I didn't know you were going to do that, so that's why I paused for a second. This has been Facts Not Included. Don't forget to check out factsnotincluded.com. And maybe Matt could publish his rankings on the website. That'd be really cool to have you guys see his shitty list on there. I thought you were going to laugh at that, man. That's a good. You got to laugh at yourself every now and then.
Absolutely.
Did you turn your mic off?
No, I thought you were going into your outro.
No, I was, but I wanted you to shit on yourself for a second. But this has been Facts Not Included. Like I said, factsnotincluded.com, and of course all of our social medias as you know to check it out: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and all the good shit. If you want to email us, just email us at factsnotincluded.com. We're always there to listen for some story ideas and just to have a conversation with you guys. That's all it's about. This community of film fans. And Matt, you are a part of the Facts Not Included community. How does that make you feel?
Hell yeah, I am. I'm one of the founding fathers of the FNI community.
There we go. We'll see you guys real soon. Bye-bye.